It's Monday, so that means it's time for a Q&A episode here on OTRS Central. If you want your questions answered in future Q&As, check out the information in the description box on how to do so, and check out the other information, pertinent links, what have you, in the description box below as well. Let's get started with this Q&A, though. At Best Buy Rick asked the opening question. Do you still play basketball? And if so, have you destroyed anyone else like you destroyed B-Rad? I like everybody remembering that I destroyed B-Rad. Yes, poor young fella thought he was an athletic beast, and then he realized he stepped into a buzzsaw of a monster that is the Schleg Daddy on the basketball court. I really don't play much at all. Really haven't played much at all for years, which makes my domination of B-Rad so complete and so total. So no, I really don't play that much, but if you want to go on the court and you want to get schooled, I can do it anytime, any place, whippersnapper. At Graham Burley asked, what do you think if the Rumble came to the last three with Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins, and Reigns winning to go to WrestleMania 31? I've seen this kind of as a rumor, and I don't know how great of an idea that is with the Shield being split up. I think it would work better, the dynamics of it, if the Shield were still together. Personally, in my opinion, I would like to see the last two of next year's Royal Rumble be Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. And then maybe throw in Cesaro, and then maybe either Ambrose or Rollins, one of those two. I think that should be the final four, with the last two being Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, because I want to make the statement that those two guys indeed are going to be the two feature key cogs in the wheel. So I'm not sure what I think about that at this point in time. At Javier Artabo asked, which WCW Hogan moment was more weird? The visit to the Dungeon of Doom or the Yappapai strap match promo? Yappapai! Yappapai! Oh, God. That was at a time where they really didn't know what the hell they were doing with Hogan, and it was bad. It was bad. Thank God he turned heel when he did in WCW. Oh, Jesus. And Stephen Waz asked, what is your honest opinion about CM Punk's future with the WWE? Will he ever be back? If so, when? My honest opinion is I don't give a shit one way or another. Will he ever be back? I'd find it hard to envision that he would never come back at any point in time, but I don't envision that being any time in the near future. At Shadow of Bat 94 asked, could The Undertaker have debuted in 2014 and get over? Yes, I think he could have. I definitely think he could have. How well he would have gotten over, I'm not sure, but I think he could have gotten himself over. You look at Bray Wyatt and you see some elements and characteristics of Undertaker's character incorporated there, and you see how well Bray Wyatt's gotten over. So Undertaker being so unique and so different, especially when he would have debuted, especially with having a manager like Paul Bearer, I think Undertaker possibly could have gotten over like $1,000,000. I really do. At C. Pivcac asks, were you a fan of the corporation and corporate ministry factions, and could something similar work in today's WWE? Corporation, yes. Corporate ministry, not so much. It was a little bit too big of a schmaz for me. It was okay, but I preferred the corporation. Yeah, sure, it could always work. It just have to be done right, and it'd have to have the right players and pieces. At WWE 961, which year in WWE do you think had the most potential to be great but ultimately fell short? The first one that comes to my mind with that would probably be 2001. I mean, you had the chance to do the angle of angles, the story of stories, WWF versus WCW, and instead they gave us the invasion angle. That's the year that stood out to me the most. You had the potential for so many awesome, incredible things to happen, and you gave us a big steaming pile of crap that was the invasion angle. I'm sorry if you grew up loving the invasion angle, but it fucking sucked at its bobbery. Do you like Chikar, and what's your opinion on it? I think I've answered this question before, but I'll answer it again. I have no opinion of Chikara one way or another because I don't watch it. That's just the way it is. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know, but I don't watch it, so I have no opinion. At delicious, Misty 1. Can professional wrestling appeal to all different types of people, such as different races, ages, socioeconomic statuses? It can appeal to all ages, and I think it does appeal to all ages. It could definitely appeal to all races, even though the WWE and the types of performers that they feature at the top don't seem to agree with that. It definitely appeals to all races. In terms of socioeconomic statuses, it can, you know, you're really talking about lower class and lower middle class as the wheelhouse of professional wrestling to really appeal to the stronger middle class, upper middle class, and even upper class. You've really got to do something special, and I'm just not sure that WWE or professional wrestling in general is in that type of position today to be able to do that. At Kenny Kim asked, do you think the WWE purposely ruins their talents' dreams? I wouldn't go so far as to say purposely, but do I think they do a damn good job of it? Perhaps. Do they seem to go out of their way sometimes to fuck with people? Absolutely. I don't know if they purposely go out there to ruin their dreams just because of the fact of you would have hoped you would have hired them with the mindset of at some point in time everybody that you hired had the potential to make you some money in one capacity or another. If you hire somebody and you never envision them being able to make you any money, then I ask the question, why hire them to begin with? At Dexter C73, why don't the wrestlers have a union? Many reasons, especially today. You know, if the WWE superstars tried to unionize, Vince would just try to block the union and or fire all of them before the union would take a foothold and bring in a whole new crew. So a lot of the wrestlers understandably are concerned about their spot and are concerned about what would happen if they did try to unionize. As a result, you know, it's not a good thing. So they can't do it. They have very little leverage today. This would have been better off to try in the 90s when you had WWF and WCW and ECW to have kind of one common wrestlers union. But to me, that would just be an unmitigated disaster because you would get egos involved, you would get this involved, you would get that involved. I think a lot of complications and a lot of things that would really make me hesitate to say a wrestlers union would be a good thing. I think having more than one big time company would be the better thing because maybe that could affect some real positive change in terms of, excuse me, the WWE actually paying their portion of the Social Security tax as an employer, not sitting there and classifying these guys as independent contractors, even though they're really not independent contractors when they're under contract for the WWE. So that way, instead of the wrestlers having to pay the 15% they have to pay now, the entire amount, they'd only have to maybe pay the 7.5%. And then you look at, you know, if there was another company with more leverage for the employees, the workers, they could actually get, you know, employer provided health insurance. By God, imagine that. So I don't know if we need a union as much as we need a second big time wrestling company. As Chris S. Krager asked, do you think Brock losing the title to Eddie Guerrero in 4 was the beginning of the end? At that point, it seemed like WWE for life for him. No, I think the title change was done because they knew Brock Lesnar was leaving. That's why they did it. Because if you really think about it, why would you have sat there and done it at No Way Out instead of maybe doing it at WrestleMania 20? So I think it was the beginning of the end, but not in the way that you envisioned because Brock had already made the determination. I think the people in the know already knew that he was on his way out. So that's the way I see it. At J_3628, why do people bitch about Orton being boring and unable to talk when Cesaro is the same? Whoa. I wouldn't go that far. You also got to keep in mind, too, that Orton has been forced down people's throats for a decade. You got to put that into perspective. It's not the same, brother. I'm sorry. And when you're talking about Cesaro, Cesaro works in such a unique manner and such a unique style that a Randy Orton doesn't match, that it does make him different. Now, again, if Cesaro has been pushed down our throats for 8, 9, 10 years in a similar fashion to a Randy Orton, and some of those other things you talk about being true, then maybe you would say that. But there's a big difference between bitching about Randy Orton and bitching about Cesaro, and that's a fact. Charlie asks, what will happen to the wrestling business when Vince McMahon passes? Great question. I would assume he would eventually step aside before he passes, so maybe it wouldn't be that big of a loss when he actually did. I could envision the WWE being bought out as a company by a Disney or by some other type of entertainment brand and putting them in their portfolio, but maybe the WWE runs as its own self-sustaining entity. I don't know if it would be a good thing for the business, but I don't know if it'd be a bad thing for the business at this point. I'm just not really sure. And Mr. Beetle890 asks, what was your favorite, least favorite, most underrated, and most overrated Undertaker matches at WrestleMania? My favorite Undertaker match of all time at WrestleMania would have to be him and HBK at 25. Least favorite would have to be him and Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. Most underrated, I'll actually go with either Taker Sid at 13 or Taker Diesel at 12. Most under or overrated Taker match at WrestleMania? Maybe him and Batista at 23 or him and Orton at 21, because those matches were good, but I don't think they were that good, like they've been talked about being that good. So in terms of talking about being overrated, they were talked about as being iconically, epically great, where they were maybe just good. At the Barrier Cena. Nice Twitter handle. Do you think Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero at Mania 22 would have been better than HBK Taker at Mania 25? No. HBK Guerrero at 22 could have been epic and awesome. But man, there were so many more things at stake with Taker Michaels at 25. You're talking about the guy that has been self-christened and has been bestowed a label of Mr. WrestleMania by the WWE for over a decade, versus the guy who you could argue was the real Mr. WrestleMania because he never lost at WrestleMania. Here are two guys that frankly go back to the Hogan era in WWE. Too much history, too much story. I'll take Taker HBK 25 over Guerrero and Michaels at 22, period. And at Beam of the Cash Man closes out this Q&A by asking, we know you sympathize with people who miss CM Punk, but do you yourself miss CM Punk? Well, I don't know if I really sympathize with some of the people that miss CM Punk, Bima, because these are the same people that are chanting for CM Punk, even though the chants have died down a little bit. But they're still chanting for a guy that chose to leave. He picked up his ball and went home. And chanting for him during other people's segments, during other people's matches, especially people you're supposed to like, especially when you're bitching about young guys and new faces not getting opportunities and they're trying to get that and you're chanting for CM Punk is fucking ridiculous. So in that case, no, I don't really sympathize with people that miss CM Punk. It sucks that your favorite is gone, but too fucking bad. That's the way life works. Sometimes you get set up for disappointment. So in the way some CM Punk fans have acted and treated other wrestlers and treated other wrestling fans, no, I don't fucking sympathize with them. And no, frankly, I don't miss CM Punk. He's gone. Get over it. I'm glad he's gone. If he doesn't want to be there, then he shouldn't have to be there. If he's in a position where he feels like he doesn't want to be there, then I'm fine with that. Sure, it'd be nice to see him back in the fold, but it's not like he was at an all-time great level of performance his last few months before he decided to leave. You could see the writing on the wall. He was beaten up. He was worn down. He was tired. He was kind of not giving the same effort you once expected out of CM Punk. So there you go. Again, thanks to all of you that submitted your questions for this Q&A. You want to have your questions answered on Monday, Wednesday, Friday editions of the Q&A here on OTRS Central. Check out the description box down below on how to do so. Check out the other pertinent information in the description box as well. Make sure you stay tuned for other great videos all week long here on OTRS Central. And coming up Wednesday will be another edition of the OTRS Central Q&A.